Masters. We are go. The car's ran out. And he's given the squeeze. Look at this, side by side. Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing. Wonderful stuff. It's a brand new season for the ADAC GT Masters, the 19th season of the longest running GT3 championship in the world. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to a warm and sunny Lausitzring here in Germany as we get ready for the first race of this brand new season for this wonderful series that returns again with the new format. Last year in the ADAC GT Masters, we had the new format, and last year we saw a couple of endurance races. There were 2 endurance races. Well, we liked it so much, we've tripled the number of them. There are this year going to be 6 sprint races and 6 endurance races, 2 of which will be taking place this weekend at the Lausitzring. The cars currently on the start-finish straight in the traditional lineup against the wall, and it's that man there, Finn Zulauf, on his debut in the ADAC GT Masters, who put the car on pole position this morning in qualifying. It was a really thrilling qualifying session, and Finn Zulauf earning a pole position, his first pole in his first ever race in GT Masters, a real sign of what may be about to come. Alongside him on the grid is Finn Wiebelhaus, and he starts in his 2nd year in the GT Masters, but he is at the wheel of the mighty Ford Mustang that makes its return to this series after a 10-year absence. We're really looking forward to this. The cars are starting to get ready. The mechanics now leaving. The whistle is blowing to signal that everybody must leave the grid. Before we get this going, this is going to be my opportunity to say a very good afternoon to the voice of DTM. Alongside me for this weekend is Chris Hartley.
Hello, Brian. Hello, everybody. Looking forward to the start of the season. First time that the ADAC GT Masters have raced here at the Lausitzring since 2022. Lots of new faces on the grid as well. Finn Zulauf on pole position, last year's GT4 champion. You got the South African Leighton Fury, who went well in GT4 last year, finished 4th in that championship. He comes in. He's qualified pretty well, former BMW M2 Cup champion as well. But some familiar faces from last year. Alan Valenti, although he's in an Audi this year, a bit further back on the grid. And, of course, the former champion Salman Vega will see in action in this race as well. One point to note, watch out for one of the cars that's on the final row of the grid, one of the Liqui Moly Team Engsler Lamborghinis, driven by the Norwegian driver Emil Gjerdrum, had a puncture in qualifying, and the car was pretty rapid in free practice. He also managed to get blocked on some of his laps in qualifying, he said. So Emil Gjerdrum should be one to watch coming forwards. He's in the number 8 Liqui Moly Lamborghini. But it's going to be a long race and opportunities to come through, Brian, because we've got 80 minutes of racing and opportunities to gain ground with 2 pit stops as well.
Yes, this is a format that was trialled last year and, as already mentioned, was very popular. As we look at Leighton Fury there waving to their camera, there's another very welcome addition. Razzoon More Than Racing. They've got Leo Pichler and Simon Birch at the wheel. It was Leo Pichler who qualified that car this morning. So last year, the drivers' champion was Elias Seppen and Tom Callender. We've seen Tom Callender already in action in the DTM this afternoon. The Pro-Am winners last year were Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer, and they are back again to defend their Pro-Am championship. We're on the road to DTM, so the winner of the Road to DTM championship will get funding for a potential DTM drive next year. We have the team championship, and it's Haupt Racing who will be defending that title. We welcome back the Holzem twins as Juliana Holzem in the BMW. Qualified just a little further back than halfway down the grid, so a bit of work to do from there. There's a lot to explain during this race. It is an 80-minute endurance race, as Chris has already mentioned, with 2 mandatory pit stops. One of the pit stops must feature a wheel change. All 4 wheels will need to be changed. Refueling is not only allowed, it is essential, because the cars don't have fuel tanks big enough to go the full 80 minutes. So we have 2 pit stops, one of which must feature the wheel change. Either neither of which can feature refueling. Now, the drivers have a minimum pit stop time that they need to be into the pit entrance and pit exit, as we've had always in the past in GT Masters, a minimum time from the entrance to the exit of the pits. But depending on whether they're doing the wheel change, i.e. the long stop or the short stop, will depend on what that minimum pit stop time will be. So for all of the cars bar 2, their pit stops for the long change with the wheel change must be a minimum of 100 seconds. The short change, the short stop, must be a minimum of 80 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. The exception of the 2 Pro-Am drivers, the 2 Pro-Am cars, and their minimum pit stop times are 70 for the short stop and 90 seconds for the long stop. Sounds confusing, but it really makes for very exciting racing. You'll see it as the race progresses. Let's have a look at the starting grid for the opening race of the season. It's Finn Zulauf on pole position, the returning Finn Wiebelhaus alongside him in the mighty Mustang. Julian Hanses, welcome back. He has Moritz Viskursen alongside him. They are on row 2 of the grid. Row 3, the leading Pro-Am driver, Alex Fack, has the aforementioned Leighton Fury for company. Leo Pichler is on row 4 with Dennis Fetzer. We saw him guesting at Red Bull Ring last year. Then Juliana Holzem, Alan Valente, he's teamed up with Carrie Schreiner, welcoming her back to GT Masters over a long time away. Nico Handke, we saw him last year, as was the case for Max Rice. They are on row 6 of the grid. And on row 7, we've already spoken about him, Emil Jögrum has Simon Ladniak for company. Great to have Simon here. We've seen him in ADAC TCR Germany in the past. He's always been there or thereabouts, but now he's joined the big league, the League of Super Sports Cars, the ADAC GT Masters. Air temperature a very pleasant 14.8 degrees centigrade. We're not expecting any rain, famous last words, as the cars now enter into turn 11, a circuit that is 3.478 kilometers around 12 turns, 7 to the left, 5 to the right. You will have noticed, if you've been very observant, they're running in an anti-clockwise direction, fairly rare in this day and age, so it does all sorts of things to the driver's necks, but they are beautifully formed up here as we get ready. As Finn Zulauf on pole position, he is on the right-hand side of your picture in the blue Lamborghini, the Mustang of Finn Wiebelhaus, who was buzzing after qualifying this morning. Alongside him, it's going to be the run along this very long pit straight, and it's a long old stretch down here. We are green and ready to go for the 2025 season for the ADAC GT Masters. A great start from Finn Zulauf, immediately stepping into the lead. Julian Hanses in the BMW, shifting up into second place. Finn Wiebelhaus trying to come back around the outside, but Alex Fack is there as well. So Fack moving up to third place. He's had a difficult time in practice this morning, but making up for it now. Alex Fack to the inside of Julian Hanses. The rest of the cars fighting up towards turn 5. They've all made it around the first turns. So great start from Finn Zulauf, but second place very much up for grabs. Moritz Viskursen is in there as well. They're all scrambling for positions on this, the opening lap of this 80-minute race. Really important to hold it all together, keep it on the track. So it's Finn Zulauf leading the way. Julian Hanses into second place. Alex Fack, though, looking to relieve him of that. The 2 cars running side by side. It is a drag race, and the grunt of the BMW trying to come back, but Alex Fack into second place in the Porsche. There's a car spinning in the background. That's Moritz Viskursen. The Mercedes spinning out of 4th place and into the gravel trap. Hope he can keep it going. Yes, he can. It's a long old race, so hopefully he can pick it all back up. But the SR Motorsport by Schnitzelam, Mercedes AMG, not having the opening lap that he wanted, but now coming back in second place, Julian Hanses. You just feel like the BMW has a little bit more grunt along the pit straight they come. So back into second place comes Julian Hanses, but Alex Fack looking to the left, looking to the right, to the outside into turn 1, under braking. He's trying to come back, but Hanses looks to have this covered off. Finn Wiebelhaus from the front row down into 4th place, still not giving up. This is great stuff from Alex Fack, putting the pressure on, but finally Julian Hanses gets the job done. Meanwhile, Finn Zulauf says, see ya suckers, I'm out of here.
Yeah, great effort from Alex Fack there, 5th on the grid. They had the gearbox out of that car during yesterday's free practice 1 session, changed it completely. He's trying to go around the outside or stay on the inside line for the next corner. The Mustang Mustang now to defend his third position. Just about does that. So Finn Wiebelhaus had a look, but then settled back in behind the Porsche. And yeah, shame for Viskirchen in the sole Romanian Mercedes in the GT Masters at the moment. After that spin, he'd already lost a place off the line. Wiebelhaus has another look at the inside in the Mustang, but can't find his way through. So Alex Fack fending him off for now. Remember, Alex Fack is one of the Pro-Am combinations along with Alex Schwarzer as well, so they will have 10 seconds less in each of the two pit stops. Fack driving well, but he's now left the door open, and Wiebelhaus gets his foot in the door, coming through the turn 11 and turn 12, ran back onto the banking. The Mustang is going to be rather quick, that V8 engine, that 5.4 litre V8 engine in a straight line, and Wiebelhaus with the onboard camera pulls away, so he's up to third, and the job of defending is not yet done for Alex Fack, is it?
Yeah, Juliana Holzem, he's made a great start. He had made up 4 places, make that 5 briefly. He had his nose in front, but coming through on the inside, the other the BMWs as well, they're all scrambling for places. This is an endurance race, not a sprint place, you know, chaps. But Alex Fack holding on to it. Look at the scramble of cars behind. So Fack holding on from Juliana Holzem. They're going 3 abreast behind, out onto the trioval once again for a short moment. But Holzem, great start from him, moving up through the pack. So still scrambling to hold on to positions. Meanwhile, Fack now breaking clear at the front of that little crew of cars, all fighting for those positions. All of this allowing Finn Zulav to open up at the front, getting on towards 3 seconds. This is the fight for third place. Julian Hanses well ahead of them as well.
Yeah, good stuff from Holzem in that BMW, because he was racing. Oh, that's a damaged suspension on the Haupt Racing Ford Mustang of Dennis Fetzer. And you can see the rear wing rattling away. That's because the front suspension is buckling, and he's got a roughshod ride back to the pits with that. So into the pit lane he will come, I'm afraid. And that is seriously damaged, that front suspension. So that, I'm afraid, he's probably going to be out of the race. That's 1 place gain back for Viskirchen in the Schnitzelam Mercedes. This is on board with Leighton Fury. That's the cause of it. Then down the inside and making heavy contact with the car ahead, and it was damage to the front right corner, the front right suspension, and we'll see it from an exterior point of view now. And that was the earlier incident on lap 1 for Viskirchen, wasn't it? At the end of lap 1, the spin on the way into turn 8. Did he get a tap? Yes, he did. Yes, that's why. Pretty hefty one on the left rear corner. But he gathered it back up very quickly, and that was from Finn Wiebelhaus. You can see from the replay there. He was 4th in the championship last year.
Needless to say, the stewards will be taking a look at that as well. I tell you, it was good in all of that. Leighton Fury was getting stuck in the BMW, the orange and black BMW, so he was in there as well. This is a long old race compared to what we're used to in GT Masters. So you wouldn't believe this was a sprint race, would you? We're looking again as confirmation. Oh, it's the incident between 2 and 14. So that was Dennis Fetzer and Leo Pichler. Confirmation that there is no action going to be taken there. But Finn Wiebelhaus, I think they might be having a look at that as well. So Wiebelhaus, it's a replay of him squeezing past Alex Fack into 3rd place. He's going to set about Julian Hanses in the 2nd place. This was the depressing view from the perspective of Alex Fack, seeing that Mustang muscling past, and look, already he's opened up a sizable gap to the Porsche.
Yeah, and Wiebelhaus in the Mustang goes through with a 1:23.0. That was nearly 3/10 quicker than Julian Hanses in the BMW ahead of him. So the gap from 2nd to 3rd is starting to come down. The fastest lap of the race so far belongs to the race leader, Finn Zulav, who's done a 1:22.877. So he's nearly 4 seconds up the road now. You're on board with Leighton Fury, then the 2023 BMW M2 Cup champion. The South African has been doing his racing in Europe for the last 2 seasons. BMW M2 Cup, followed by 4th in the GT4 Championship last year, making his debut in the ADAC GT Masters Championship. He's got Tim Zimmerman to get into the car later. The way it works with these 2 pit stops in their races is that each driver on one day, one of them will do 2 stints, one of them will do 1 stint, and then it's reversed the next day. So whoever qualified today starts the race and does the 3rd stint. Whoever qualifies tomorrow, and that has to be the other driver, it'll be their turn to start and have the end of the race, and the other driver will just do the middle stint. So a busy day coming up for these drivers that have started the race. The first pit window, which is 10 minutes long, opens after 15 minutes into the race distance.
Finn Wiebelhaus, who we're looking at here, riding along board with, he has received a penalty. In fact, he has received 3 penalties for that incident there, which sent Viskirchen spinning off into the gravel. He's going to have to visit the penalty box. It's a 50-meter box that is on the circuit on the exit of turn 5. Off the racing line, he'll have to pass through that at no more than 50 kilometers an hour. He's going to have to do that 3 times. So that's going to be the equivalent of adding 15 seconds onto his lap time. Well, at the moment he's in 3rd place. Well, by my calculations, that'll move him down to somewhere near the absolute back. That's going to feel so painful as he hits that 50 kilometers an hour, then back on the accelerator. He's going to have to do that twice more. So that's a bit of a gift for those around him, especially Alex Fack, who's now promoted back up into 3rd place.
Yeah, what it also does is take the pressure off Julian Hanses in 2nd. He was being caught by Wiebelhaus, but because Wiebelhaus will plummet down the order now, so Hanses is going to be a pretty comfortable 2nd. He'll have something like a 4-second gap back to that Porsche you can see in the foreground there of Alex Fack, who is now promoted up to 3rd place. So Julian Hanses, he's had a couple of guest drives in this championship last year, but in a Schnitzel and Mercedes. He's in a BMW now, but he got a 3rd and a 4th when he was here in the championship for a guest drive last year, doing a solid job in 2nd place. But Finn Zulav has just had another fastest lap of the race last time around, a 122.1. He's done it again. He's a 121.89 now, and they really are flying. They absolutely obliterated the GT Masters lap record in qualifying around here. Well, Zulav did, getting into the 119s. But it's a pretty bumpy circuit, this, and the surface, and there's a lot of wear and tear on the tyres through the fast sections at the start and end of the lap, Brian. So you have got to try to look after the tyres in a race which is 1 hour and 20 minutes long.
Yes, and it's the timing of looking after the tyres and when to come in for that tyre change, whether to do that during the 1st pit window or the 2nd pit window. So the 1st window will open when the clock strikes 65, as we see once again Finn Wiebelhaus going through the penalty box, and he'll see Moritz Viskirchen coming through, almost coming through. So the 2 of them are going to be on the same bit of real estate before too long again. That should be fun, shouldn't it? So when the clock strikes 65, i.e. we're 15 minutes into the race, that's when the 1st window will open. It will remain open for 10 minutes. The 2nd window will open in the 55th minute of the race as Leighton Fury now moves to the inside of Leo Pichler. So this is for 5th place. Look to make that quite easily. Pichler making his debut in the ADAC GT Masters, as is the case for Leighton Fury. Leighton Fury, who has won pretty well most of the championships he's ever entered. No pressure there or anything. The driver who comes from South Africa to race in the GT Masters, making fairly easy work of the Razzoon More Than Racing Porsche in front of him. So advantage FK Performance in the BMW. Out along the pit straight, Pichler now looking to be vulnerable to Max Rice. So the Mustang also finding a gap on the inside, under braking into turn 1. Pichler trying to come back at him, sliding the back end. There's quite a downhill section there, actually. It's not until you actually walk around it that you see that it is quite a steep downhill. But he holds it all together, but he's lost another position. So Max Rice moving up to P6.
Yeah, nicely done, that move by Leighton Fury. What he did, he got a really good exit coming out of turn 7, and that got him the run up into turn 8. And he'd already got the momentum here, and he was very good on the brakes, the South African. So Fury down the inside. Pichler then kind of on the back foot, losing a bit of rhythm, bit of momentum through the final sector. And then we know that big, powerful Mustang, its preference is to be going quickly in a straight line. So then he lost the next place to Max Rice, who's the leading Ford Mustang at the moment. And of course, we've had the retirement for the Fetzer car. HRT run Mercedes for years and years, now running the Mustangs, and also doing that in the DTM. So you got Fetzer out of the race. He probably didn't get investigated because he was out of the race anyway, but he had that contact with Pichler. And then Wiebelhaus has had all these runs through the penalty zone. So Max Rice, his 2nd season of GT Masters, his 1st time driving a Ford Mustang, into the fray now, to the top 6. But keep an eye on Leighton Fury, that orange and black BMW. He's going after the next BMW up the road now, which is Holzum, and he was on that lap about 0.3 of a second quicker.
The fury of Fury, and Viskirchen trying to come back now up through the pack after that earlier moment. So that is Simon Ladniak in the Liquimoli Team Engsler car, but also following through Finn Wiebelhaus after all those trips to the penalty laps. So damage limitation for both of these drivers after the opening lap incident. and then the subsequent penalty for Finn Wiebelhaus. So Simon Ladniak very much finding his feet on his debut in the GT Masters. Those of you that have followed ADAC TCR Germany in the past will certainly be familiar with that name, and indeed the team that he drives for, Luca Engsler's team, and Franz Engsler. Right, here's another look here of them making the move into turn one, under braking. Ladniak sensibly deciding which battles to fight today, deciding not to get down and dirty with the cars trying to come through, just to gain the experience, let them go, and then maybe come back at them later.
Yeah, and Wiebelhaus following him through, which means after all he's run through the penalty box, Wiebelhaus is back behind the car that he hit, the Mercedes, the Schnitzler lime green and black Mercedes, which was what caused him to receive that penalty in the first place. But Fury has really rapidly caught up to Giuliano Holtzum. You're on board with later now. He's not going to be able to have a go into turn one here. They go from 255 kilometres an hour down to just 90 here, from fifth gear to second, and then they build up the speed. Downhill section through turn two, to the left at three, about 125 kilometres an hour, into the right at turn four. He's all over the back of him. They're about to come back onto the tri-oval here now, and this circuit which was built, the outer perimeter of it for kart racing, IndyCar racing, 25 years ago, back in the year 2000. They pop back onto it, then skirts off into turn six, into the infield, hard on the brakes from 200 kilometres an hour down to 90 through the infield section now. They won't go back onto the tri-oval until they rejoin it, coming out of the last turn at turn 12. There's no doubt about it, though. The quickest BMW in your picture at the moment is the orange and black one, Holtzum, who raced the Land Motorsport Audi last year. He's going to have his work cut out, and if he succumbs to Leighton Fury, then he might lose out to Max Rice, because Rice is looking very rapid, isn't he, in that Mustang just behind the pair of them.
Yeah, Max was saying that he was struggling for seat time, just hadn't had a lot of time to get used to that big Mustang. Of course, we saw him in the Mercedes AMG last year, but he certainly seems to be adapting very, very quickly. Leighton Fury, well, we know how quick he is. As already mentioned, Giuliano Holtzum with his brother Sandro were racing the Land Motorsport Audi last year, so this is a very different kind of car, so still getting used to it themselves. Out along the pit straight they come once again. Now Leighton Fury, a little look to the inside. Max Rice fancies going three abreast to the inside, and Leighton Fury under braking into turn one, backs out of it, so there's no contact, no issues, but you get the feeling that Max Rice is getting a bit impatient already. He's in sixth place, almost made it up to fourth. Look who's coming in the background. So Leo Pickler coming back as well. Behind him is Nico Handke, so we're starting to close up a little bit here.
Terrific battle. He thought about it for a second, didn't he, Max Rice? Wisely backed off out of it. He carried so much momentum coming out of the final turn and down into turn one on that bank section, that tri-oval section, that he really did get onto the back of the BMW. The pit window, the first pit window is now open. Both of the pit windows are 10 minutes, so you've got to come in. And for all but the two Pro-Am teams, which is the number 4 car of FAC and the number 8 car, which is to 9th place, by the way, from 13th on the grid of Yerdrum, they will all have to stop for either 80 or 100 seconds, depending on whether they do the long or the short pit stop. 70 or 90 for those two Pro-Ams, and we've got the first of our pit stoppers coming in.
So this could be very strategic. It might be that the teams decide to get the long stop out of the way early, or they might decide to do the short stop and get them out onto a bit of open track. We're going to find out. We don't know what the strategies are, so it'll unfold in front of all of our eyes. But Leo Pickler into the pits, he comes in the number 14 car, keeping very much to the speed limit, so he will be handing over to Simon Birch. We've been looking forward to seeing him at the wheel of a GT Masters car. Simon Birch, who is incredibly successful at everything he does. So here he comes. He's helping Pickler out of the car, and Pickler will get back into it after the second stop. So it'll be Simon Birch who does the middle stint. Right, we're not seeing any tyre changes at the moment. Also out of the car is Simon Ladniak. Dante Rapange, great to have him here. The driver from the Netherlands, who is jumping into the seat of that Lamborghini to take it over. So this is a tyre change for car number 6. So this is going to be their long stop. So this needs to be a minimum time of 100 seconds for pit entry to pit exit. There's a limit to how many people can work on the car at one time. You're only allowed one air gun. You might be going, well, they can do it in 3 seconds in Formula 1. This ain't Formula 1. It is just one air gun allowed. So car 14 now with Simon Birch at the wheel. They've had the wheel change as well. Of course, the wheel change cannot happen at the same time as the refueling. They need to be separate. Also in, Leighton Fury.
And Max Rice and Nico Hanke, the three of them that were in that queue behind Juliana Holtzum, all dived into the pits. So this a race between the pit crews, but you've got to stick to the minimum time. You and I spoke to Alex Fack about how this works from a driver's point of view. They actually have a timing inside the cars, certainly inside the Porsches, which tells them and counts down the minimum time that they've got to be in there, and has a delta. So if they're slightly ahead or slightly down, then the pit mechanics will hold them there a bit longer. They're not meant to slow down the cars on the exit to the pits, so they have to be very careful of that. They can't just crawl down to make sure they don't get to the exit line too quickly. And also they'll have a mechanic timing it as a backup as well to make sure they don't go under that minimum pit stop time. So Simon Birch's pit stop time, 1 minute 42.7 all told, and 1 minute 40.8 for the number 6 Lamborghini.
So Max Rice exits the seats. It's Nicholas Callas making his debut in ADAC GT Masters, who jumps into the wheel of that car. We also welcome back Dennis Bulatov, taking over from Nico Hanke. Both of those drivers were behind the wheel of an Aston Martin last year, so this is a bit different. It's an Audi R8, and there is Carrie Schreiner. We have not seen Carrie Schreiner in GT Masters since 2020. I think it was 2020 last time we saw her, so great to have her back here again. And she will be getting ready to take over from Alan Valente in the number 68 Land Motorsport Audi. So cars now all coming into the pits. Finn Wiebelhaus is in as well, and he hands over to a former champion, the only former champion that has taken part this year in the GT Masters, and that is Salmon O'Vega. Here's Alan Valente in the pink and white Audi, so he comes to a stop on the marks. Here comes Carrie Schreiner. Really good to have Carrie here back in the ADAC GT Masters after such a long time away. Of course, we've seen her in the F1 Academy last year and the year before. She's been doing a number of different series. So the car being refueled. Remember, they can't refuel and change wheels at the same time. So we won't know whether they're doing a wheel change until the fuel is detached. It has to be gravity-fed fuel, so no pressure or anything like that. We did see a car having a fiery incident in the pits last year, so health and safety very much top of the agenda. There's Finn Wiebelhaus, who shuts the door after a mixed first stint. He will be getting ready to jump back into the seat a little later on. There's Salmon O'Vega tightening the straps of the car. You can see that Julian Hansis is into the pits as well. He's handing over to Eduardo Cosseteng. Right, cars bursting into life, into action. Our race leader continues out on track. It's still Finn Zulauf. Alex Fack moves up into second place. Now he is 12.584 behind Finn Zulauf. To remind you, his stops, both of them, will be 10 seconds shorter than that of Finn Zulauf because he is in a pro-am partnership. His co-driver is a bronze-rated driver, so they keep coming in. So Viskursen is in, handing over to Yanis Fitcher, another driver we saw last year. Emil Yerdrum is in, handing over to Jonas Karklees. Great to have Jonas here again. And there you see Julian Hanses handing over to Eduardo Cosseteng. We've seen Eduardo in ADAC GT Masters for a couple of years now, so he's starting to become a bit of an old hand here behind the wheel of the BMW. There is Viskursen handing over to Yanis Fitcher, another experienced driver in this series, who won at Lausitzring in 2023 and won at the Red Bull Ring last year. So a two-time winner in ADAC GT Masters, now getting into the seat of the car that Moritz Viskursen had. Moritz Viskursen this is his fourth race in ADAC GT Masters. The wheel changes continue, so a lot of the teams and drivers opting to do their long stop early and then going for a short stop in the second pit window.
Yeah, the only two so far that have gone for the short pit stop first. The number 1 Haupt Racing Ford Mustang of Finn Wiebelhaus, who's now handed over to Salmon O'Vega. That was the one that had the 3 runs through the penalty box. And the other one is the pink and white Land Motorsport Audi number 68 of Alan Valente and Carrie Schreiner. That's had its short pit stop as well. 80.8 seconds for the Audi, 80.9 seconds for the Mustang. And everybody else has gone for a long pit stop, and there's been some really good ones because it's a 100-second minimum stop time. So the best of all was the number 11 FK Performance BMW of Leighton Fury, now driven by Tim Zimmerman. 100 seconds is the minimum. They did 100.7 seconds, so within 0.7 of a second of the minimum pit stop time. But also the excellent number 6 Lamborghini did 100.8 seconds, and also 100.8 seconds for the Scherer Sport Audi of Nico Hamke and Denis Bolotov. They were within 0.8 of a second of the minimum as well. So 3 really good long pit stops there.
So Juliana Holsom in as, by the way, I'm pleased you're keeping note of this because I've got a clue. Schubert Motorsport working on Juliana Holsom, who has now handed over to his twin brother, Sandro. That is a gorgeous livery, if I might say so. Not that I'm biased at all. So they've gone for their long stop early as well. You can see the clock ticking down on the graphic on your screen. So they'll want to hit the line when that clock strikes 0. We've still got 2 cars yet to stop. So of the stoppers, the leading car is car number 10, Eduardo Cosseteng, who took over from Julian Hanses in the number 10 FK Performance Motorsport BMW. Right, so this will be the race leader coming in for too long, because there is Simon Conor Prim, a very rapid combination. You can see Finn Zulauf getting ready. You just get the feeling from his body language he's going to be coming in. Maybe this time around. He's on turn 8 at the moment, heading around towards turn 9. Get the feeling he's going to be peeling off into the pits. They're running out of time to believe it much longer. Could potentially have gotten another lap just, but not taking any risks. So Finn Zulauf, the outgoing champion of ADAC GT4 Germany. We saw him win that championship last year along with Josef Knopp, now stepping up to the big league, the league of super sports cars, and along with Simon Conor Prim, who, in my opinion, is one of the absolute rapid up-and-coming GT3 cars. In comes Fak as well. So a potent combination in both of those cars. So Alex Fak into the pits to Hunter Schwarzer.
Now remember, if they go for their short pit stop first, that could be only 70 seconds. Most of the others have done their long pit stop and have to stop longer anyway. So they might gain 30 seconds back here, but they'll have to do a longer pit stop later on. Also to point out, at the moment, just the leading pit stopper is the number 10 Eduardo Cosseteng BMW. It's opted to do its short pit stop first, but it wasn't a very good short pit stop because it should have been 80 seconds, and they did it in 93.4 seconds. So they're ahead at the moment, but they've got their longer pit stop to come, and they've lost a lot of time in that short pit stop. He's got right behind him as well, Salman Vega, who looks like, from the track mark, it might be slowing Salman Vega.
Yes, he's got a penalty lap for a pit stop infringement. So car number 1 went below the... no, it's not below the pit stop time, just a pit stop infringement. So he's got another visit. That car's going to have its 4th visit to the penalty box. Yeah. This time with Salman Vega at the wheel. It might as well just park it up there and have a sandwich. But that's why he is slowed. So yet more dramas. Here's the car that has been leading and appears to be, at the moment, dominating the race. It's currently the championship leader on account of the fact that Finn Weber has scored 3 points for pole position this morning. So leads the championship by 3 points. Not by 3 points, by 1 point, but has 3 points. So now they wait. The engine fires up, so they've gone for the long pit stop. Schwarzer takes over the lead of the race in the Pro-Am category, as denoted by the green box around the number. So Simon Conor Prim now gets the car into action, bursts the engine into life, and out into the pit lane he comes. But remember, as already mentioned, Eduardo Cosseteng was the net race leader. Now it is going to be, I believe, that Simon Conor Prim is going to come out in front of him anyway. But, of course, Cosseteng has to do the longer stop as well.
Well, it's going to be the Schwarzer car because they opted to do their short pit stop first. So they get 10 seconds less anyway. This is an off-road excursion for Simon Conor Prim on cold tyres, isn't it? Coming out of the pit lane, straight off into the gravel trap. They also didn't have a great pit stop there, which was because it was their longer pit stop. Should have been 100 seconds, was 108.1 seconds. So they'd already lost time in the pit stop. And look at this, the BMW of now Tim Zimmerman, driven by Leighton Fury earlier on, gaining a place here and diving down the inside to run into the left-hander at turn 6, moving ahead of the Holtzum BMW, which Leighton Fury was stuck behind before. and Callas has got past that car since as well. So Zimmerman has got one forward in between himself and the Olsen BMW. But yeah, the Alex Schwarzer car will be leading by a country mile because it's done its short pit stop, so it's got a longer one to come. But they did a good job as well. 70 seconds the required minimum time for them. They did it in 70.8. So on most teams, they've gone 30 seconds quicker, but they've got to do their longer pit stop. The others will do most of them, their short pit stop later on.
But of course, their second pit stop will also be 10 seconds shorter than what the longer pit stop would have been for the other cars as well. Are you confused as I am? I haven't even I've got to do this on my own for some of these rounds. Just going to point that out. I haven't even mentioned Tim Zimmerman yet. He was in there is Finn Zulauf. He looks nervous, doesn't he? Tim Zimmerman, he was in a Lamborghini this time last year, if I remember rightly. He's at the wheel of an altogether different creature in the BMW. Very quick driver, a previous winner, and he's taken over from Leighton Fury. So a shout out for Tim Zimmerman. I think we've mentioned everybody so far, have we? But it is on account of the short pit stop and the advantage from Pro-Am. Alexander Schwarzer, who leads the way. A country mile, you said. Well, according to my calculations, the country mile is, well, I'm waiting for the clock to stop, but it's such a long time. We're going to measure it in minutes at this rate.
About 25 seconds.
I was going to say 26, 25 then. Yeah, here we go. So waiting for Kosseteng to come across the line next, and he will be no doubt feeling the attention of Simon Connor Prim. Well, his Prim is about 2.138 behind Kosseteng. So 24.894 is the gap between first and second at the moment. We'd expect Kosseteng to perhaps close that up a bit. To remind you, Alexander Schwarzer is the only bronze-rated driver in this race. The rest are silver-rated drivers.
Yeah, and your combination of silver and bronze affects your minimum pit stop time, or whether you're a Pro-Am as well. Schwarzer, though, in his second season racing with Alex, in fact, the Pro-Am champions of last year. So Eduardo Kosseteng in second place, the Filipino driver. He didn't have a great season in GT Masters last year with FK Performance in the BMW alongside Gregory de Seiberg. Had best of 9th at Zandvoort, but the year before he was 7th in the championship alongside Ben Green in our races in DTM and had 3 second-place finishes. Now, the reason Kosseteng has shot up to second place is because he opted to have his short pit stop. That team had their short pit stop first, so rather than stopping for 100 seconds, 90 seconds, well, that was the plan, but as I say, it wasn't the best pit stop, so 90 seconds was the target. Actually did it in 93.4, so they lost a few seconds, but it will reverse once in the next phase. Most of them do their short pit stop, and Kosseteng is going to have to come in for a longer time. But at the moment, he's second. Simon Connor Prim in the Lambo is about 2.5 seconds behind him, but Kosseteng was quicker on the previous lap. And then despite, what was it, 4 penalties now for the #1 Mustang, Salman Vega is still there, the former champion, in 4th place.
Well, they say you can't keep a good man down despite 4 penalties in that 4th place and challenging Simon Connor Prim. Salman Vega, the former champion from 2 years ago of the ADAC GT Masters. He won it with Elias Seppänen, the first of 2 titles for Seppänen, that was. So Salman Vega, we know how good he is. That's the #1 on the door, indicating that Haupt Racing are indeed the team champions as well. And putting the pressure onto Simon Connor Prim. Connor Prim, who is in his 15th race in the ADAC GT Masters. Of course, the balance of performance to level these cars up, because that Lamborghini Huracan and that Ford Mustang are 2 very, very different creatures. So the balance of performance, leveling them up so that they have, in theory, very, very similar pace around here. And in the background, Carrie Schreiner on her return. I did check, it was 2020 the last time we saw her in the ADAC GT Masters. There's been a long old break, but she's very, very welcome back here. Behind her, Simon Birch in the Porsche.
Can I give a shout out to the Engster team, the Liqui-Moly Engster team, particularly the crew of car number 8. Jonas Kartlis behind the wheel now. Emil Jerdrum was behind the wheel at the start of the race. They did their short pit stop first. The target was 90 seconds. They're the closest to their target. They did it in 90.2 seconds, so really good pit stop for that team. But the car back in 12th place at the moment. So Schwarzer leads. The gap is dwindling, 21.8 seconds. His last lap was a 125.1, a 123.6 for Kosseteng in second place, and a 122.8 for Simon Connor Prim in the Pal Motorsport Lamborghini behind, quicker than the BMW. So the gap from second to third third, down now to 1.7 seconds.
So when we hit the 55th minute of the race, which according to my maths is 25 minutes to go, the second pit window will open and then it will all shake up again. But as things stand at the moment, Schwarzer very much under control, looking pretty comfy, 21.886. So Kosseteng is not exactly monstering his way into that lead. Simon Conor-Prim, well, he's got his attentions full of Salman Vega, who's behind him. Then there's Carrie Schreiner, then this battle here that we're looking down on. Then there's Simon Burks, then Nicholas Callas, then Tim Zimmerman. This is Dennis Bulatov with, I believe that's Yanis Fitcher, who's trying to make, yes it is. So Dennis Bulatov still getting used to the Audi. Very, very different to the Aston Martin. You can see him under braking in towards turn 8. The back end of the car just twitching slightly. You see how hard he is pushing. Up ahead of him is Sandra Holzem. So after that big challenge early on from Juliana Holzem, back down in 9th place now. But this is the closest battle on the track that I can see at the moment. Dennis Bulatov in 10th place, Yanis Fitcher in 11th. A little way behind them is Jonas Karkli. So Fitcher hasn't got anybody behind to put the pressure on, so he can go all guns blazing onto Dennis Bulatov. Along the pit straight they will come. Will he duck to the inside into turn 1? Will he have a look to the outside? The inside is the answer. Late on the brakes. Can he slow it down? No, he can't. Dennis Bulatov coming back around the outside, picking up a little bit of the dirt. Yanis Fitcher loses the traction, but for a moment, Dennis Bulatov says, I'll have that back, thank you very much, and away he goes.
Brave effort. I'm looking out of the window of the commentary box on the run to turn 8. It's nose to tail for second place as well. Kosseteng has got Prim breathing down his neck and alongside him, trying to go around the outside of him on the way into turn 8. He might cost himself a place, I reckon, to a Vega, who is drawing alongside him in the Mustang as well. And they're side by side on the way to the right hand, but the Simon Conor-Prim Lamborghini just about got the inside line. So great battle going on for second and third. Here it is, and the Mustang still side by side with the Lamborghini. We know it's going to be rapid in a straight line as well. Salman Vega in the white Mustang then, trying somehow to break into the top 3 here. Can he get the run into turn 1? He's going to show his big fat nose on that Mustang. The big grille looking daunting as it bears down upon the rear wing of the Lamborghini, but the Lamborghini's got the inside line a bit twitchy. Does he run wide? No, he doesn't. So the nose of the Mustang sits back in behind the rear wing of the Lamborghini for now, but a fantastic battle, and despite all of that, neither of them really losing ground to Kosseteng. Now, looking at the times here, Schwarzer and Fach, you know, have got a decent chance of winning this race because they've got their long pit stop to come, but even their long pit stop is going to be 10 seconds less than the short pit stops, which most of the other teams have got to make. So they've got to pit for 80 seconds. Most of the others have got to pit for 90, and at the moment he's 19 and a half in front. If you keep the gap over 10 seconds, then that's all well and good. Also to point out that the car that's nearest to Schwarzer is Kosseteng, who's got to do a longer pit stop as well. So he's really battling Prim and a Vega at the moment. Here's a replay of that battle between the sleek Lamborghini Huracan and the big, brutal Ford Mustang. Evenly matched, and that's the beauty of GT racing, isn't it?
I thought Alex Fach had a bit of a glint in his eye when we spoke to him this morning. He knew exactly what he was doing, didn't he? Yes, some lovely replays here. That was Dennis Bulatov, a defender of the week, I would say there. Really holding off brilliantly from the attack from Yanis Fitcher. So we don't know where to look. The battles are up and down the pack, and here it is. Eduardo Kosseteng in second place. He's got Simon Conor-Prim on the inside. Look at this. Salman Vega 3 abreast. Who's going to break the best? The Lamborghini's been looking nimble on the brakes all day long, and that is exactly the case here. Suddenly Kosseteng getting relegated 2 places in 1 corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Great driving from both Prim and a Vega there. Very smart thinking from a Vega. You can see why he won the championship 2 years ago, can't you? He knows his onions, and that was a really well thought out move. He read what was happening ahead of him, so both get ahead of Kosseteng. They should really be getting ahead of that car in the next pit stops anyway, because Kosseteng and the crew have got to make a long pit stop, but they didn't want to get held up by the BMW. They both went down the inside. How they made the corner, I'll never know. They somehow turned in before they got onto the grass.
I have to say, good driving, a sensible driving from Eduardo Kozateng as well, actually, because that could have turned into a large accident, and he knew to give the space a fair room on the inside as well, and they all made it round. There's a few senior drivers that could well learn from this example. That little downhill section on turn one. While all this has been going on, Carrie Schreiner has been closing in. Anybody who thinks that the Audi's just making up the numbers, you are wrong. Carrie Schreiner, she's loving being back in the ADAC GT Masters, and now flashing the lights at Eduardo Kozateng out onto the pit straight. She will come. This is 4th place she's going to be lining up. So is she close enough to do anything into turn one? Kozateng looks like he's got it covered off this time around, but Schreiner has been slowly closing in. You can see from the gap evolution on the graphic that she has been closing in. Behind there, Simon Birch. He's not out of this yet either, in 6th place. Nicholas Callas in 7th. Then Tim Zimmerman. Behind them, Sandra Holzem and Dennis Bulatov. Janis Pitcher, for all his hard work, still in 11th. Heading Jonas Karklees and Dante Rapange in 13th place. But look at this, Carrie Schreiner. I mentioned it earlier on, we've seen her for a couple of years in the F1 Academy. This is something entirely different. I think very much she's returning to where her heart is, and her heart is very much in GT3 racing. Yeah,
this is very much a scrap for position, because both of these cars, the BMW of Kozateng and the Audi of Schreiner, opted to make their shorter pit stops first, so they both got to make a longer pit stop. They're both, in theory, going to have the same pit stop time next time around, so it's a straight fight between them, whereas the two cars ahead of them, Prim and Vega, have got a shorter pit stop, a 10-second shorter pit stop to come, having got the long one, in theory, out of the way. Schwartz has gone through. His last lap time was a 1:24.8, so he's keeping good, consistent pace here. He's got himself into the 1:24s, and all he's got to try and do is keep the gap to more than 10 seconds before that next pit stop window. But it's dwindling, isn't it? 14.7 seconds, because Simon Connor Prim comes through with a 1:22.099. I think maybe Schwarzer, in fact, could have done with Kozateng keeping Prim and the Mustang of Vega at bay, particularly Prim. Prim has left a Vega behind now in the last lap or so, hasn't he? The gap between the Lamborghini and the Ford is growing to almost 2 seconds. So Simon Connor Prim flying in the Lamborghini, and Simon Vega just dropping off a bit now in that white HRT Mustang.
There was a puff of smoke there. Was that a lock-up in front of Simon Connor Prim? I just saw the smoke on the corner of the screen, but he is a former podium winner. Simon Connor Prim is still looking for his first win in the ADAC GT Masters. That certainly won't be very long. Right, I said keep an eye out for Simon Birch. This is why he's already closed up what was a fairly sizable gap to Carrie Schreiner. He's not hanging about, is he? Schreiner with Eduardo Kozateng in that 4th place, just ahead of her. But Simon Birch, for my money, looking the quickest of the three. He's closed in. Birch, who we saw in ADAC GT for Germany last year, was thoroughly entertaining at the wheel of a Porsche there, GT4 version. Here in the GT3, we've also seen him in GT2 as well over the winter period. A very quick young driver from Denmark. Now along the pit straight, he's going to have a little look to the inside of Carrie Schreiner under braking into turn one. Decides discretion is the better part of valor at this point. Ducks back behind, but he's not done yet. He's looking impatient. We've still got 40.5 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. We've still got the second pit stop. Simon Birch is moving forwards.
Yeah, Carrie Schreiner doing a good defensive job there. It's got a pretty good record at this circuit over the last 3 years that the championship has been here. Hasn't been here since 2022, but in 2020, 2021 and 2022, there are 4 wins for Audi drivers here, 3 for Mercedes drivers, and a win for a Porsche. Lamborghinis, which look favourite at the moment for potentially the race win, haven't had a win here in the last 3 visits of the championship to this circuit, but have had 4 podiums. And also to say that Finn Zulaf, who was behind the wheel of that number 33 Lamborghini at the start of the race, his best lap time was a 1:21.7, which means by half a second a new lap record, Dries van Teur's lap record from 2020, absolutely obliterated. Carrie Schreiner just clips the inside curb on the run through turn 10, slightly uphill now as you go back onto the banking. So coming under pressure from Simon Birch, who's got the better run, hasn't he, in the Porsche, and he'll start to get sucked into the toe now. He'll see this as an opportunity. Carrie Schreiner might have to go a little bit defensive here on the run down into turn one, flashing the headlights in the background It's Callas in the Ford Mustang, but here comes the Porsche down the inside of the Audi, locks up, slides the car in, beautifully done, makes the position. That's a lovely move. Birch up to 5th place.
We always knew he was going to be trouble when he joined GT Masters. Simon Birch, what a move that was. He really kept it together. The back end just sliding slightly under braking somewhere around here. Really good stuff. And Gary Schreiner really had nothing that she could do to defend from him. And there it was, that moment, the Razzoon more than racing Porsche. I can imagine he was whooping inside the car when that happened. And that's at the end of that very long pit straight. So he will now set about Eduardo Kozatega. But 10 out of 10 for entertainment. Nicholas Callas in the background hasn't let them get away either. Right, here's our race leader, Alexander Schwarzer, also the leader in the Pro-Ams. You will see the green box with the name of the next to the number of the car. The green box indicating they're in the Pro-Am race. The blue box meaning they are in the overall race as well. So the 2 Pro-Am drivers, Jonas Karkley, 2nd in the Pro-Ams, 12th overall.
But the gap is now under 10 seconds. In fact, it's down to 7.6 seconds from the number 4 Porsche of Schwarzer to the number 33 Lamborghini of Prim. And Prim's stop, when it hands over to his teammate Zulav, is going to be, in theory, 10 seconds shorter. So that car in 2nd is the one that's favourite for the win now. And Vega is only another, well, he's only another 4 seconds back, less than that, so he's 11 seconds behind. So if in the next lap or two he gets to within 10 seconds as well, it could be that the Porsche will emerge after the pit stops, despite having a shorter pit stop, in 3rd place. We shall wait and see, but it's going to be tight in the last bit of the race, that's for sure. Here's another move, and here's another beautifully executed move from Simon Birch. Just throws it down the inside of Eduardo Kozateng. There's a couple of karting moves he's pulled off there, I would say. When he slided in and lock up the brakes, just absolutely on the edge, but always looking in control. Very well done. And Birch now to 4th place in the race.
I thought he might wait until he got onto the pit straight. He's like, no, I'm not waiting. Get on with it. That's exactly it. He's already pulled out in front of Eduardo Kozateng. Be interesting to see now how quickly he can close in on Salmon Ovega up in front of him. So have a look at the gap. At the moment, 6.9 is the gap between Salmon Ovega and Simon Birch. We'll see where that one goes and keep an eye on it. Meanwhile, Simon Conor-Prim a little while ago did actually get a black and white flag, which is a warning from the race stewards for more than one change of direction to defend. So that was a little while ago on the timing screens, about 10 minutes ago. As we look at Callas now to the inside of Eduardo Kozateng. So Nicholas Callas making his debut in ADAC GT Masters, having taken over from Max Rice. They're certainly putting that Ford Mustang to good use, aren't they?
Yeah, remember the Kozateng pit stop is the longer pit stop to come as well, so that really is dropping down the equation now, and it looks like he's struggling a bit with the car at this stage. So Gary Schreiner all over the back of Eduardo Kozateng's black and white number 10 BMW. The FK Performance car looks like it's maybe struggling a bit on the tyres at the moment. So Schreiner in the Audi all over the back of the Filipino driver and looking to switch back to the inside here. That's going to be tight, so the door squeezes closed on her. Can't find a way through. Might have been an unusual spot to overtake on the way into turn 7. Down a longer than you imagine back straight now in the middle of this infield section. That white line that you can see across the track signals the end of sector 2 and into the final sector as we get a replay of another good move into turn 1. That was the move from the Mustang of Callas at the inside of the BMW of Kozateng for 5th place just about 30 or 40 seconds ago. Perfectly executed manoeuvre. And a perfect manoeuvre is when you, A, get past, but B, you also don't mess up the exit to the corner and scrub your own lap time off. So he kept the momentum going, and he has started to pull away already. So Prim only 2.4 seconds back on Schwartz now. You might get the lead before the pit stops at this rate. Yeah, I mean, he's closing in a rate of knots here, isn't he? I mean, that's a very, very rapid closing in for Simon Conor-Prim. There's your race leader. There's 2nd. 3rd place, Salmon Ovega just behind. We're still 9 minutes away from the 2nd pit window opening. So I'm just gonna summarise here. Which are the drivers that we believe have still to do their long stop? the long stop.
One moment here, sorry.
Yeah.
We didn't look away from the screen. So this is Tim Zimmerman on Gary Schreiner. Schreiner's in 7th. We haven't got a time to breathe here, have we? So he's got a great view of all that's going on. I think he fancies getting past it quite Eduardo Kozateng as well. So there is Kozateng, 6th place, 7th place Schreiner, 8th place Zimmerman. This is great racing from the GT Masters on their opening race of the season. Schreiner, suddenly, having been attacking Eduardo Kozateng, is now having to defend like hell from Tim Zimmerman, who has closed in at a rate of knots on the Audi. We will come back to you on pit stops in just a moment, but this is such a close battle for 6th place. So Kozateng in the black and white BMW, then Gary Schreiner, 7th place in the Audi. She's in a BMW sandwich because Tim Zimmerman also in the BMW. I get a feeling he might be thinking about a challenge into turn 1 here. Out along the pit straight they come. In the background is Sandra Holzem, another of the pesky BMWs. So Zimmerman doesn't do anything at this case. At this point, Zimmerman got close under braking, didn't he, into turn 1.
Right, in terms of the front runners then, the Schwarzer Porsche that leads the race for now, that has got to do a longer pit stop, but its longer pit stop is shorter than everybody else's because they're a Pro-Am pairing. The 33 Prim car, short pit stop to come. The number 1 Vega car in 3rd place has got a long...
Oh, hang on, this is for the lead.
Yeah,
here we go. See
down the inside.
Yes, well, that was candy from the proverbial baby, wasn't it? Just dived through, straight through, lead change. Simon Connor Prim in the number 33 car. The car is back in front.
Yeah, so that is correct. So Vega's got a long pit stop to come. I think I'm right in saying they opted to set a short one after all their penalties, didn't they? Get a replay of
Zimmerman.
Yeah,
past Schreiner.
Inside of Schreiner.
Yeah.
That was going into turn 6. Lovely move off the tri-oval and a bit wide on the exit, but covered off the manoeuvre. And this was the change for the lead of the race. Simon Connor Prim, just at the end of that back straight, down into the left-hander at turn 8, got past Alex Schwarzer in the Porsche, and Schwarzer demoted at the moment to 2nd place. So the number 1 car of Vega, that's got to do a long pit stop, so short pit stop to come for Prim, long pit stop, but it's a Pro-Am pit stop for Schwarzer, long pit stop for a Vega. For Birch, that's got to do a short pit stop to come. That's the 4th place car. The 5th place car of Callas has got a short pit stop to come as well. Kozateng in the BMW in 6th has got a long pit stop to come. 7th place Zimmerman has got a short pit stop to come. And Schreiner in 8th place, having just been demoted there, has got a long pit stop to come as well. Holzem twins just behind them in 9th place, Bulatov in 10th, Fitcher 11th, and Rapanj has got ahead of Karklis on the last lap as well for 12th place.
So the big loser potentially in the next pit stop will be the number 1 car, Vega, who has to do the long one, as we've now seen Sandro Holzem finding a route past Gary Schreiner. So Schreiner, having been on the attack for so long, suddenly now defending like mad, because Dennis Bulatov is Audi versus Audi. Bulatov, he does like to get the elbows out. By the way, welcome back, Sheriff Sport PHX. We say welcome back. They were Phoenix Racing last time we saw them in GT Masters a few years ago. Now Ernst Moser's son Ron runs the team. They've become Sheriff PHX, and it's Dennis Bulatov at the wheel of one of their cars that is attacking and defending at the same time, because Janis Fitcher in the Mercedes AMG fancies getting past both of them. Out along the pit straight they come. I should think Gary Schreiner doesn't know what's hit her here. Dennis Bulatov to the inside, into turn 1. Schreiner demoted 2 places in 1 go.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Fitcher has got a short pit stop to come as well in that Mercedes. Just going back to a Vega, they did the short pit stop, but you saw him get a penalty. The car had already had 3 runs through the penalty box, got another one when a Vega took over for a pit stop infringement. They were 0.1 of a second short of their minimum pit stop time. That was the issue there, as far as I can work out. So yeah, that one's going to drop back. But here is a replay of this tremendous battle that we had. Gary Schreiner stuck on the outside, the high line there, and down on the low line as they went through abreast the Mercedes. Yeah, that was excellent stuff from Janis Fitcher. Absolutely committed and flat out. Going through turn 12 there, they're pushing over 200 kilometres an hour. By the time they get to this point, they're over 250 kilometres an hour. You don't really want to touch each other at those speeds, but they got away with it.
Yeah, that was a plane crash, I should think. So well done, everybody. Kept it on the ground. Right, Schwarzer in second place. Well, he's going to have Salman Vega breathing down his exhaust pipe before too long. But, of course, that's going to all change once the pit window reopens. The drivers who we saw in the first stint will be limbering up in the pits as we speak, because we are less than 4.5 minutes away from the window opening for them to come back in. To summarise, Simon Conner-Prim in the number 33 car. That is run by Podium Motorsport, the local team from just down the road in Dresden, leading the way ahead of Alex Schwarzer, the leading Pro-Am car for FAC Autotech, Salman Vega for Haupt Racing Team. The car having passed through the penalty box at the hands of both him and Finn Wiebelhaus, but with a long pit stop to come in third place. The Holzums finally, Sandro Holzum, finding a route past Eduardo Kozateng, so that is for 7th place. So he moves forwards. Next, Kozateng is going to have the shape of Denis Bulatov trying to find his way past.
So all sorts of action in the middle portion of this race. Still just over 28.5 minutes of the race to go. Another replay of the two BMWs. Holzum diving down the inside there of Kozateng to move himself up to 7th place. And another move here for 2nd place. Vega down the inside of Schwarzer. And the bronze level driver Schwarzer demoted to 3rd place now behind the Ford Mustang. But he'll get that place back with Vega to have a long pit stop. There's also a long pit stop to come for Schwarzer, but his pit stop, in theory, should be 10 seconds shorter. So as long as it stay within 10 seconds, FAC still got a chance when he gets into the car of getting a 2nd or a 3rd place finish. Maybe the one to watch here really is the car in 4th place of Simon Birch, because he is flying. They're going to have a short pit stop to come, I reckon, and he's only, what, 2.6 seconds behind Vega, so that's a real chance, the number 14 Porsche, of a top 2, top 3 finish.
As we look at a replay here, just to clarify, on the Pro-Am drivers, their long pit stop will need to be 90 seconds. The short pit stop for the non-Pro-Am drivers is 80 seconds. So they are going to be, despite it being a long pit stop, they are going to be disadvantaged by some 10 seconds. So the short pit stoppers, we really should get some graphics up on this. This is, I got my abacus in front of me and I'm still lost.
Yeah, I take it back actually about Vega. He wasn't just under, he was just over his minimum pit stop time, 80.9. It was 80, wasn't it? So must have been another infringement.
Another infringement.
You know, same result. They ended up through the penalty box, but it does mean they've got the longer pit stop to come. So they are going to drop another 10 seconds to the Pal Motorsport Lamborghini, and they're, what, 7.6 seconds behind it already. Replay then of this move down the inside from Bulatov on Kozateng this time. So that Bulatov flying, isn't he? He's up to 8th place now. Kozateng really struggling with that car. He had a good first sort of 10 minutes or so after he got into the car after the pit stop, but it's been going backwards since then, hasn't it?
You wonder whether he's struggling a bit with tyres here. Of course, Julian Hansis did a great job getting the car near the front, was challenging for the podium positions at the start of the race, but it feels like it has gone backwards. And maybe those tyres, because it's still due to do his long stop, maybe the tyres have just had too much taken out of them in the first part of the race. But they're headlining all of this, despite all the dramas, penalties, pit stops, minimum times, maximum times, all the rest of it. Simon Conner-Prim leads Salman Vega by 7.684 seconds, and that is likely to grow once the pit window has closed. There's Simon Birch. We said watch out for him at the start of this season. We weren't joking. He's now challenging for a podium positions. Alexander Schwarzer. It's Porsche versus Porsche, but you've got a silver-rated driver in Simon Birch, the FIA rating of the driver, versus a bronze-rated driver. The bronze-rated driver is defending, not much of a defense really, and I think that very wisely Alexander Schwarzer choosing which battles are the right ones to fight today. This is not one to end up in the wall or on the grass or in the gravel. He needs to let Simon Birch go. His main challenger is really Jonas Karklees, because it's the Pro-Am title that he is mainly going for. And of course, a podium position would be a real bonus. Right, we are 12 seconds, 11, 10 seconds away from the second pit window opening. So the cars will all need to come back in for the second of their stops. And the drivers that we saw in the first stint will then get back into the seat of the car that they started the race in and carry on to the end.
Yeah, you would think think Schwarzer is probably going to come straight in and give Fak as much time in the car as possible. That number 4 Porsche, I suspect, is about to dive into the pits. Birch already ahead of it up to 3rd. It's going to be 2nd. It should be 2nd after the pit stops because it's got potentially 10 seconds less in the pits than the Vega Ford ahead of it. So Birch going great guns here, and that is in fact coming into the pits now. That Mustang as well, isn't it? A Vega. In comes Schwarzer. No surprises there for Fak to take over. They're easily going to win the Pro-Am category, but can they get themselves an overall podium? So the Mustang, with its long stop to come now, is going to have to come in and stop for at least 100 seconds, and it's going to be at least 90 seconds for the Porsche, which is a Pro-Am car, and therefore on its long stop now. So in they come, and the drivers, as you say, that were originally in the cars are going to get back in now. Simon Birch is just under 12 seconds behind Simon Conner-Prim, the top 2 now, and they've both got the same length pit stop to come, the top 2. So it's looking good for Simon Conner-Prim and Finn Zulauf to control the final phase of the race. Good effort, though, by Simon Birch, who last year raced to 7th place with the same team, Razoon More Than Racing, in a Porsche Cayman in GT4. Got a win at Hockenheim, got a 2nd at the Lausitzring, and he also had a guest drive in the Winter Series with the driver that is going to take back over from him, Leo Pickler. So they raced together in the Winter Series, the GT Winter Series, at the start of this season. We get a replay of
Olsen
overcooking it, coming over into the gravel trap. That's on the way into the pits as well, isn't it?
Don't often see an overtaking move. That's on the pit lane, yes. So overcooking it into. Good job. No, actually, those are not going to be tyres that are going to be changed, are they? So his brother will get back in. You can see Vega, Schwarzer, Sandra Holzem, Janis Fitcher, Eduardo Costen, Carrie Schreiner, Jonas Karkleys all in for their final pit stop. The top 6 all remain out on track. Right, here comes another one. So in comes Tim Zimmerman, getting ready to hand back over to Leighton Fury. I've got to pronounce his name right this year. That's my resolution. In the FK Performance Motorsport BMW, keep to the speed limit. That'll feel painful in itself. Right, out comes the car that did have a Vega at the wheel. Now Finn Wieberhaus back at the wheel of the number 1 Hout Racing Ford Mustang.
And Olsen's just gone around the outside of him, rejoining at turn 2, and he loses another place to the Schnitzelau Mercedes as well, a Viskirchen. So struggling on the way out of the pits is Wieberhaus in the Mustang, struggling a little bit, losing 2 places in the blink of an eye after its long pit stop.
So, window open for another 7 minutes for those who haven't pitted yet. So, Simon Conner-Prim will need to come in. Simon Birch will need to come in. Nicholas Callas will need to come in as well.
Prim's coming in, I think. So, the race leader into the pits.
So, here comes Simon Conner-Prim, and Finn Zulauf will be getting ready. Here he is. Helmeted, ready to go. It is a very heavily regulated pit stop, so they're not allowed to just get loads of mechanics. It's 2 mechanics allowed to work on the car, and very, very heavy restrictions. They cannot do additional tyre changes, just the one that is mandatory. So here we come into the box once again to a stop. This is a nice short one, a bit of fuel going in. They're allowed to refuel in both stops now. They won't be able to do that when we get to the sprint race part of the season. Hurl the seat into the garage, don't need that again today. And so into the seat gets Finn Zulauf once again. He put the car on pole position. He led the first section of the race. Simon Conner-Prim has kept it all towards the front, or he's got back to the front, and now it's time for Finn Zulauf to get back in and, in theory, bring it home. Out on track, Simon Birch takes over the lead of the race. I reckon Birch is going to stay out quite late in the window here. He's got a nice clear track in front of him. That's a good view of Finn Zulauf, who this time last year, as already mentioned, was on his way to winning the GT4 Germany Championship. He's now stepped up to the League of Super Sports Cars. He steps out of the pit lane and onto the track and rejoins.
That's right, so he is, of course, the net leader. The other driver that's leading its having the lead in the pit stoppers, of course, is as the number 14 car of Simon Birch comes in to make its final pit stop, just going past the commentary box over the start-finish line now. The number 11 car, which was driven by Leighton Fury, is now driven again by, sorry, it was Tim Zimmerman. It's Leighton Fury back behind the wheel of the car now. That's the leading pit stop, so that's come out plenty clear of the number 4 FAC Autotech Porsche with Alex Fack behind the wheel now, and so they're both behind the 33 car of Zulav. Second of the pit stoppers is the number 11 car of Fury, then it's the number 4 FAC Autotech car, and then a bit behind it is the number 56 Holzem car, which got Viskirchen behind it, and they both, of course, got ahead of the number 1 Finn Wiebelhaus Mustang when it came out of the pits.
It means that the temporary race leader is Nicholas Callas, so he leads the way in the number 3 car. On board with Alex Fack now, he will be throwing caution to the wind. Could potentially get it up onto a podium position. He is a silver-rated driver. He's in a GT3 Porsche. He's got the equipment. He's got the qualification. So what can he do? He's going to be out throwing caution to the wind to try and move forward. He's got Leighton Fury up ahead of him. Now, Fury at the moment is 6.3 seconds clear of him in that 6th place. Out comes the Leo Pickler car, having taken over from Simon Birch, so he is now done and dusted for today. So we have how many cars still to pit? 3 cars still left to pit. Nicholas Callas, Denis Bulatov, and Dante Rapange. He's doing a sterling job in the number 6 Liquimoli Team Exler Lamborghini Huracan.
Yeah, so essentially the net race leader is the car that led before all of this, the number 33 Lamborghini, the Blue Pal Motorsport Lamborghini. That's just coming down towards turn 8 now. Number 33 Finn Zulav, effectively the net leader. Should have something like an 11 or 12 second lead over the number 14 Leo Pickler Porsche. Then it'll be on course for a podium potentially on his ADAC GT Masters debut, Leighton Fury in the number 11 BMW. That's just going into turn 7. And then the next of the pit stoppers, Alex Fack, who won the British Grand Prix Porsche Super Cup race a couple of years ago, and got FAC Autotech's first Super Cup win in 5 years. He's former Porsche Sprint Challenge Swiss champion, a double champion. Now these days racing in the ADAC GT Masters, but he's a very rapid driver. He's doing his best to catch that number 11 BMW of Fury. So we'll keep our eye on their respective lap times over the next couple of laps for what might be the final spot on the podium.
In comes the race leader, Nicholas Callas, for his stop. So peels off into the pit lane. That'll hand the race lead over to Denis Bulatov. So Max Rice will be standing by, getting ready to take over the number 3 Hout Racing Ford Mustang. So again, on the white line, hit the speed limiter. Do not break the speed limit in the pit lane. And here comes Denis Bulatov as well in the background. So Nico Hanska will be limbering up, ready to take over. And the last of the stoppers is Dante Rapage in 3rd place. So he comes into the pits as well, and he'll be getting ready to hand back over to Simon Ladniak. That number 6 Liquimoli Team Engstler car, very pretty looking car, and Franz Engstler's team, very much hands-on. Luca Engstler involved as well. We've seen him racing in DTM this afternoon. Did not have the best of afternoons, but his focus will be on the GT Masters now, and then it'll be back on the DTM focus tomorrow morning. So there, Max Rice looks like he is on board, and Nicholas Callas wishes him good luck, slams the door, and then they just wait for the clock to count down with the aim of getting to the white line. Here's Finn Zulav at the moment. He's up at turn 2. So this is the race leader, Finn Zulav. The other 3 cars that came into the pits. So Max Rice has lit the tyres up. Now Rice is moving quite early here, and looks to me as though he could potentially retain the lead of this race. He's a long way ahead here, isn't he? So,
well, the 33 car of Zulav is already down at turn 6. The 14 car of Pickler is out of turn 5, and then it's Rice. So he's rejoined 3rd effectively, and doing a good job. Yeah, because he had his short pit stop.
Yes,
they got their long pit stop out of the way first. So that's brought them back into contention, hasn't it?
This is where the short and the long pit stops confuses us. I had them on the lap before. So, yes, so good job, though, from Max Rice and Nicholas Callas from what was a mixed qualifying session, moving up into what is potentially a podium position at the moment. So, Finn Zulauf leads the way. Leo Pichler in second place. Max Rice in third. Leighton Fury, though, will be trying to close down on the number 3 car. We've got 15 minutes remaining of this race. Everybody is pitted. Alex Fack is the leading Pro-Am driver in 6th place overall. Finn Zulauf, the overall race leader. Yeah, we talked about Fack trying to catch the BMW of Fury, but having come out of the pits, the number 16 Audi of Nico Hanke has got in between them. So that's really frustrating for Alex Fack because he's come out right in front of the white Porsche. So both of them are now going to try and work together to try to catch up the number 11 car, the BMW of Leighton Fury, for 4th place. But they have all been usurped by Max Rice, who got the long pit stop out the way first. That seems to have worked well because he is now 3rd. He's just going into turn 5. They're just going into turn 4 in the battle that you're now looking at on board with the car that's 3rd in the train. Number 4, Alex Fack, 6th place. There in front of him, Nico Hanke, who had a later pit stop, got out just in front of him. Fack, I think he's quicker of the two, and he's desperate to get ahead of him so he can continue to try to catch up to Leighton Fury for what won't be 3rd place anymore, but 4th place. So this is going to be a really good scrap between the Audi and the Porsche, and maybe they'll reel in that orange and black BMW ahead of them in the last quarter of the race now. So these are two silver-rated drivers on level pegging here. So this is a battle that gets personal. It is Fack in 6th place, Hanke just ahead. I would say that Alex Fack, the more experienced of the two, looking the quicker of the two as well. Finn Zulauf leading the way from Leo Pichler. I was about to tell you the gap, but the screen cleared. Right, 15 seconds between first and second. So Zulauf looking pretty secure. Max Rice has only stood on the podium once before in ADAC GT Masters, and that was at the season opener last year in Oschersleben. He's in 3rd place at the moment. Right, out along the pit straight we come. Once again, Alex Fack will be impatient to get past Nico Hanke. Has a look to the inside. Hanke just looks to have the legs in the Audi. Into turn 1 they come. In the background, Finn Wiebelhaus. He's not done yet, is he? Then Juliana Holzem, Moritz Viskerschen putting pressure on to Juliana Holzem for 8th place. And then behind them is Emil Jördrum, who's back in the seat of the Lamborghini. You're right to mention Finn Wiebelhaus. He's just done the 2 fastest laps of the race. Off is the race leader through the gravel trap there. And Finn Zulauf trying desperately to get out of the gravel trap and get back on the road. That's at turn 8. He's lost a huge amount of time, but he's still going to rejoin. Breathe a sigh of relief in the race lead. He was, what was he, 14, 15 seconds up the road. You can see the gap is now down to about 4 or 5 seconds. But a real heart-in-mouth moment. What he's going to be really worried about now is whether or not he's picked up anything in terms of a puncture run through the gravel trap. So all good there coming out of turn 7. This is where it goes wrong. Into turn 8, just goes underneath the camera. And then we'll see it from the onboard. He just went in too deep, didn't he? Just understeered straight on into the gravel trap. Blimey. But such was the lead that he still comes out and emerges in the lead of the race just with a heart rate monitor that's gone through the roof. Yeah, imagine when the team surprised when they saw that. It was all looking very comfortable, wasn't it? But 2.8 seconds clear, but you're right about Wiebelhaus. 2 fastest laps of the race on the last 2 laps, and now it's brilliant rest, diving down the inside. The Mustang gets through. Fack has to get out of the way. Hanke's coming back in the Audi. That's brave from Nico Hanke, isn't it? He was second favourite into turn 2, but he's made it stick. But now the Mustang is diving down the inside. The door opens up, and Fack is going to follow him through as well. Round the outside into the left-hander at turn 5. And Nico Hanke braved it out to start the lap, but in the end, he's had to succumb both positions, and Finn Wiebelhaus has gone from 7th to 5th. He's got the fastest lap of the race. He's also smashed the lap record. Brilliant racing. This is proper car racing, this is, and Wiebelhaus will be wondering what might have been but for those penalties. In the background is your Moritz Viskerschen. I think it was that Juliana Holzem going. Yes, he has got him. So Miss Viskerschen also moving forwards. This is a replay on board from the perspective of Alex Fack. We're heading into turn one. He had the outside line, but there's a big fat Mustang on the inside. There it is, squeezing through. I think Fat did well just to get out of the way of this one, because this could have been very lively indeed. Look how much pace Wiebelhaus had along the pit straight, and he was brave on the brakes as well, wasn't he? Into turn one, slams the door in the face of Alex Fat. It's like, I'm coming through, otherwise we're going to have an accident, I think. So takes it very deep into the corner, and great stuff from Finn Wiebelhaus. This is why a lot of people are mentioning his name. He moves up into 5th place. And this is, again, a view from Alex Fack as Nico Handke surrenders that position to him. So, Finn Zulauf leading the way. He had that moment in the gravel. I would just remind you, okay, he's leading the way. Finn Zulauf, this is his first ever race in ADAC GT Masters. I think it might be his first ever race of GT3. So this is a tall mountain he's having to climb. I think he's allowed a few mistakes. I think Simon Conoprim, if he's got any sense at all, would have locked himself in the toilet, not coming out for another 9.5 minutes, because it's scary. But Finn Zulauf clearly is trying very, very hard. And the good bit about having a 15-second lead is he could do that little bit of off-roading. He's still got 3.2 over Leo Pichler.
Well, enormous credit to Zulauf, because he's had a very hairy moment. He's made a mistake. He kept cool, and he got it back out of the gravel trap. His lead was down to less than 3 seconds, and on the very next lap, he gets himself calm, he gets back up to speed, and he grows the gap, and he's done it again on that lap. So he's now already back out to 4.4 seconds. Here we go then. Here comes the Mustang. This is for 4th place. Leighton Fury has already lost the position. Coming out of turn 12, the Mustang of Finn Wiebelhaus is already through. So that means the Mustangs are now 3rd and 4th in the race.
Well, welcome back to GT Masters, Ford Mustang. Great stuff here, and Wiebelhaus and indeed Samuel Vega will be thinking about what might have been. To remind you, that car started on the outside front row, had 4 visits to the penalty box. That means that they've had a 20-second penalty compared to the cars around them, and they're still in 4th place. 20 seconds from where they are now would take them to just behind the race leader. Yeah. So they are thinking maybe about what might have been, but hey, you can't change the past. You can certainly do something about the future, though. That's exactly what he's trying to do.
Yeah, and well done to Uli Fritz and HRT, the Hat Racing team, in coming up with a plan, because they did the long pit stops first for Rice and Wiebelhaus and saved the short pit stop till later. They looked like they were both a bit out of the running in the middle of the race, but they've come right back into it, and 3rd and 4th is going to be an excellent result. But as you say, Wiebelhaus, only 20.9 seconds down on the leader, had got the pace to win this race, haven't they? But for those 4 visits through the penalty box. But it is very encouraging for HRT and for the Ford Mustang, the pace that it's got around here at the Lausitzring. And I know it's a very quick car in a straight line, but there's not that, you know, it's not the whole track that's quick here. The infield is very tight and twisty, as Leighton Fury now has Alexander Fack breathing down his neck. BMW versus Porsche. Fact, with that brave move around the outside, that 3 abreast manoeuvre that we saw earlier on, would have been the move of the century if he pulled it off, wouldn't it? We've got 2 more side-by-side cars here as Jerdrum dives down the inside of Holson for 9th place, just about makes the corner. Nicely done, tidies it up on the way through into turn 3, and the Lamborghini through. So that car, remember, started almost at the back of the grid after his puncture. This is the race leader with an issue. Oh, no. With 7 minutes to go, Zulauf slows down, and I wonder, Brian, if this has got anything to do with some damage from that run through the gravel trap.
Oh, disaster. There's smoke coming from it. Now, is it a flat? It looks like it might be down on the left rear to me. Certainly smoke coming from the car. Whatever it is, it's going to rob him. Yeah, there's body work. Is that flat? Yes, it is. Flat tyre, left rear. So I think maybe that trip through the gravel trap may have caused some kind of issues there, or it may just be debris. I mean, there's been a fair bit of contact in this. It means we have a new race leader, Leo Pichler, along with Simon Birch. Let's have another look here. That's where it went. The rear tyre, you see it just go there. The smoke comes pouring off. Car dips down at the back, and he's going to crawl back to the pits. That is a tragedy for Finn Zulauf and Simon Conoprim, having dominated this race. 6 minutes, well, it was 7 minutes away from home, and a victory on debut, and that is just a real kick in the teeth for Finn Zulauf, and he'll retire the car back to the pits. I can't imagine they're going to well, they may put a tyre on it and get out and try and get some points, I guess. But whichever way, any chances of a win are over. You don't need to be a psychologist to read what's going on in that head, do you?
No, nor a language expert. There may have been a few expletives there. Luckily,
mute the mic.
I can hear it or see his lips moving, but that's heartbreaking, isn't it, for him, his co-driver, and for the team. But it is pure joy, of course, for Leo Pichler and Simon Birch, who have now picked up the lead of the race, and they've got, what, an 8.7 second lead over Max Rice in the Ford Mustang. Finn Wiebelhaus is about 5.2 seconds back. He is quicker than Max Rice, though, 0.4 quicker. I think he's probably got not enough time left in the race to go for second, but back out goes the number 33 machine. It rejoins almost a lap down on the race-leading car now, unfortunately, which is just going into turn 1.
So, our new race leader, Leo Pichler, along with Simon Birch, they too are making their debut in the ADAC GT Masters. Max Rice looking for his best ever result, and certainly Nicholas Callas would be his best ever result if they could finish in second place. As we look again at Alex Fack on the inside of Leighton Fury, out of turn 5 and out onto the tri-oval. A replay of that move. So Alex Fack in 4th place, 3.085 back from Finn Wiebelhaus. So it feels like the back of the field is catching the front. This could all shake up yet. We've only got 4.25 minutes remaining of this. The first race of a 12-race season for the ADAC GT Masters. The first of 6 endurance races. We've got another one tomorrow. So if you enjoyed this, join us again tomorrow, because we get to do it all again. It has proven to be very popular, the endurance format, and it's proven to be very entertaining. And it's Leo Pichler, along with Simon Birch, who have held it all together while others around them have fallen by the wayside. They've got to carry on doing that for another 3 minutes, 40 seconds plus 1 lap. Yeah,
there might be some action at turn 1 at the start of the next lap as well with this battle, because Nico Hanke has been breathing down the neck of Leighton Fury in that BMW for the whole lap. Maybe the BMW is just struggling on its tyres now towards the end of the race, because here comes the Audi. This is the battle for 5th place. He slingshots out of turn 12. He's underneath the rear wing of the BMW. This is his moment, but he feigns a move, then ducks back out of it. And for now, at least, Leighton Fury has got enough in hand to keep him at bay. 3 minutes left on the clock, and this, the battle for 5th place, still belongs to the South African at the moment. Fury is just ahead of Hanke.
Nico was trying to get Leighton to move over to defend his position to sell the dummy, but I think Leighton was having none of it on that occasion. He's still got to hold him off, though, for another, well, over 2.75 minutes plus 1 lap. That's going to feel like an eternity. Leighton Fury feels like 5th place is as good as he's going to get out of this race as things stand at the moment. Nico Hanke, though, trying to relieve him of that. Moritz Viskersen in 7th place is about 4.6 seconds, 4.7 seconds back now from this battle. So no issues behind Nico Hanke. He's running out of time. He's got a couple more laps to have a go at the orange and black BMW in front of him.
Battle for 2nd place is still on, you know, because Finn Wiebelhaus was 3/4 second quicker than Max Rice on the last lap. Here he comes. So the white number 1 Haupt Racing Team Ford Mustang of Finn Wiebelhaus trying to get a 2nd place finish out of this, despite 4 visits to the penalty box and 20 seconds lost in the race. So here we go, on board with him. We've got, what, just over 2 minutes left on the clock. He goes through. Rice does a 1:23.2, a 1:22.1.
Wow.
The 2nd quicker for Wiebelhaus, and here comes Nico Hanke, Brian.
On the outside of Leighton Fury, under braking, but Fury just moves across to block him. He's allowed to do that going into turn 1, so Fury holding on to 5th place. Nico Hanke, he's not giving up, is he? So almost pushing the BMW around those corners. There's a windy section of track here. He's not going to be able to do anything around turns 3 and 4, but then out of 5 onto the tri-oval. Will he have a look to the inside? Fury will be aware of that. He goes to block him in into turn 6. They come. There's a gap on the inside. I think Fury's going to lose this one here, because Nico Hanke moves his car to the inside. The inside becomes the outside. Fury comes back in. So Fury holding on on to that 5th place at the moment. There's going to be another opportunity coming up here any second along this short stretch, then under braking. Time is running out for Nico Handke, but he's looking rapid here. Leighton Fury, the gap on the outside, then the inside. Now around towards turn 11, they will come. This is going to be the big opportunity. The opportunity is starting to run out for Nico Handke. Leighton Fury will be aware of this. He'll take it nice and gently, then get a good exit out of 11. Into 12 they come. Handke already with his nose on the inside, out onto the pit straight. It's going to be a drag race towards turn 1. Audi power versus BMW power. Flat out they come in towards turn 1. Who's going to be the bravest on the brakes? Nico Handke gets his slowed down, but does he slow down enough? Yes, he does. Leighton Fury, though, trying to come back into turn 2, but position lost.
Meanwhile, we might be about to get a change for second place on the run into turn 6. Down the inside goes Finn Wiebelhaus. He's done it through into second place. Fantastic. He's been a second a lap quicker than Rice over the last 2 laps. He's got his head down and through he's gone at the first real opportunity as the clock ticks down to 0. Despite all the penalties, Wiebelhaus and Vega look like they're going to get a second place finish out of this.
Amazing stuff, and the Mustangs are looking mighty on their return after 10 years away from GT Masters. So our race leader up in turn 11 at the moment. It'll be one more lap after this. Here's a replay from the perspective of Finn Wiebelhaus, and you could see Max Rice just a little bit twitchy under braking, then out back onto the tri-oval they come, and then in towards turn 6, and Wiebelhaus has that inside line. You get the feeling there might have just been a bit more rubber left on the tyres of the Wiebelhaus car. Max Rice really had nothing to defend. The final lap of this, the opening race of the season. If the other 11 are going to be like this, we're in for a treat. And it's Leo Pichler who leads the way, 10 seconds clear of the battle that we have been watching. Finn Wiebelhaus in second, Max Rice in third, and Alex Fack, the leader of the Pro-Ams, in 4th place.
It's been a terrific race, this, hasn't it? All the way through. Loads of action on track, loads of overtaking, the drama in the pit stops and the way things ebbed and flowed. All the penalties as well for Wiebelhaus and Vega. And, of course, the unfortunate drama for Finn Zulauf, who led the race 7 minutes from the end, and that run through the gravel trap, then the puncture, and that's back in 13th place now and almost a lap down. But Leo Pichler on the march now, 10 seconds clear. Should be able to cruise to the checkered flag to win the opening round of the season.
He's up into turn 10 for the very last time and around into turn 11. We're looking at 3rd place, and there is 2nd. But up ahead of them, Leo Pichler along with Simon Birch. They've done exactly what they needed to do. It's their debut in the ADAC GT Masters. They win on debut the first race of the season. Leo Pichler and Simon Birch for Razzoon More Than Racing, winning race 1 of the season. And of course, a first ever win for Razzoon More Than Racing as well in this series. Finn Wiebelhaus along with Salmon Vega. What a drive despite 20 seconds of penalties, coming home in 2nd place. And Nicholas Callas along with Max Rice home in 3rd place. That is Simon Birch. You can see quite how much this means. When he announced he was going to be joining the GT Masters, and we knew it got Leo Pichler as a teammate as well, we knew they were going to be challengers for the championship. We knew that Simon Connor Prim and Finn Zulauf were going to be challengers as well. But they are the ones that kept it all together. They kept it out of the wall. They kept it out of the gravel. The team did a flawless job, and they win the opening race of the season. The battles were continuing even to the end. Emil Yerdrum from the back to the inside of Moritz Viskersen. So from the very back, after a fairly disastrous qualifying, Emil Yerdrum with a 7th place. The win in the Pro-Am category going to Alex Fack. But I think this year, Alex Fack and Alexander Schwarzer are going to have their work cut out, because Emil Yerdrum along with Jonas Karklees are a potent combination, and they are going to be challengers for the Pro-Am title.
Yeah, absolutely right. Nicholas Callas with his first podium as well, in 3rd place on debut, with Max Rice getting his 2nd podium in the ADAC GT Masters Championship. Well done to them there. The results, the top 8 after 57 fantastic laps of racing. But it might be very different tomorrow, Brian, because there is a 70% chance that we're going to get some rain There were some rain showers during the course of the afternoon, as if we needed to mix things up even more in this GT Masters racing this weekend.
And of course, Leo Pichler and Simon Birch will be carrying a bit of success ballast as well. They'll have 20 kilos extra on board. Finn Wiebelhaus, Simon Vega, who was second, will get 10 kilos extra. And third place, Max Rice and Nicholas Callas will get an additional 5 kilos of success ballast. But they won't be thinking about that now. They will be thinking about the fact that they have just won the 1, 2, 3 in the opening race of the season for the GT Masters, this legendary championship. We've got first-time winners both in drivers and team on the top step of the podium for this, the season opener. Finn Wiebelhaus, we've seen him win in the past. He made his debut last year and won at the Red Bull Ring. Just the one win for him, along with Salman Vega, of course, is the former champion, the 2023 champion. There's Simon Birch with a big grin. There is the classifications, 25 points going the way of Simon Birch and Leo Pichler and Salman Vega, Finn Wiebelhaus. We've also got the qualifying points to add on to that as well. But I think it's safe to say that Birch and Pichler are the championship leaders.
And delighted about it. That's the perfect way to start a new season. And yeah, only their second time racing together after an outing in the GT Winter Series. But there you go, one race, one win, the perfect start. And yeah, I mean, they were obviously second until 7 minutes to go. Heartbreak for Finn Zulaf and Simon Conner-Prim, of course. But they were there at the end. I mean, it would have been a great result second, wouldn't it? But they'll absolutely take the bonus victory that they've just picked up. And the Fords as well. And HRT, I think, we're really happy to get 2 of their Mustangs onto the podium in this first race of the season.
Well, anyone who thought the Mustangs were here just to make up the numbers, well, you've just proven that one wrong, haven't you? There's Finn Wiebelhaus. Not as delighted as you'd expect maybe with a second, because he knew that the win was very much in reach along with Salman Vega. But second, well, that's not bad going. There's Leo Pichler giving us the thumbs up as well. And a big shout out to Max Rice. And remind you, Nicholas Callas, another driver making his debut in the ADAC GT Masters. There's Max. Just removing his helmet. Hasn't had as much seat time as he'd like in that Mustang, so very much learning on the job this weekend. Both he and his dad do a wonderful job just promoting the sport and trying to raise sponsorship to go racing, and third place is a great reward for that.
Yeah, good job. It was just struggling a little bit with the car at the end, but really solid drive by Max Rice and Nicholas Callas, his co-driver, who's racing in Porsches last year, GT4 champion in the Porsche Sprint Challenge. So he's new to this as well. So it's exciting, this, isn't it? We've got some familiar names, as I said at the start of the show, like Alan Valente, like Salman Vega, the 2023 champion. But lots of new, young, upcoming drivers that have come from GT4 and other series coming into this championship now and already making a name for themselves and making their mark.
Yeah, and I think this year is the year that we're seeing the ADAC GT Masters very much returning to its roots. It was originally created as a platform for amateur drivers to battle alongside emerging talents. And then over the years, it kind of became very much a pro series. But it's very much returning to its roots now. We're seeing these young chargers going head-to-head with the amateur drivers as well. And it's what the GT Masters was created for originally. And it's really good to see, very much still taking shape. We've got some guest entries coming up as the season goes on. But championship challengers, there's Max Rice. Yeah, you would go that way. There's the podium. Hasn't been there this year yet, so he jumps onto that along with Nicholas Callas. Salman Vega, he's visited the podium many times in the past. Finn Wiebelhaus there in that second place. And definite championship challengers, all 4 of these. But the 2 that are going to stand on the top step of the podium, watch out, Leo Pichler and Simon Birch are at the top of the championship standings. And we'll have a representative from Razzoon More Than Racing who'll get a bit of silverware as well. But first, the national anthem. Oh no, here we go. We're going to get the team up first from Razzoon More Than Racing, and now the national anthem.
Und die Sieger in der
Okay, we're going to wait for the Danish national anthem because we're going to get the pro-ams up as well. So Alex Pack and Alexander Schwarzer, the defending pro-am champions. Right, well, they're not around, so we'll have the national anthem anyway, I think. So here we go. We've heard that tune a few times over the years. I get the feeling we're going to be hearing it again a few times during this year, certainly with this pairing in the ADAC GT Masters. Right, here comes Alex Pack, better late than never. Late to the party, chaps. And Alexander Schwarzer, they get trophies on account of winning the Pro-Am race. So the trophies presented by Daniel Ulbrich, the head of marketing for Pirelli Germany. Lovely trophies, and they will be very cherished and valued as the first trophies in GT Masters for our race winners. Maya Mora, member of the executive board of DMSB, presents the second place trophies. And representative from Schaeffler presenting the third place trophy. Sören Zinner is the director of global sponsorship and merchandise of Schaeffler AG. Great to see the Schaeffler car doing hot laps around here with Markus Winkelhock at the wheel in between races here. Still yet to give me a drive in one of those. And then for the team trophy awarded, and Razun More Than Racing, very successful in GT4 and in various other categories, but now race winners in GT Masters. And then the Pro-Am trophy to the defending champions, Alex Pack and Alexander Schwarzer. And we'll pose for the photographs. So this, the first of 6, yes, 6 endurance races this year. We only had 2 last year. We loved it so much, we've come back and tripled it. So we get another endurance race tomorrow, whereas last year we'd have a shorter race following an endurance. This year we get to do it twice. So we get another 80-minute race tomorrow, and then we head to Zandvoort in June for the first of the two sprint races, the first 2 sprint races of the season. There'll be Nürburgring in July for another endurance round. Then we head for the very first time ever to the Salzburg Ring in September for another endurance round, and then 2 sprint rounds to finish. It'll be Red Bull Ring in September, Hockenheim to bring the season to a close. But if the racing is anything like we've seen today, I think that's the quickest 80 minutes of the year. It has been thoroughly entertaining. I do hope you've enjoyed it. The race tomorrow, well, quali is tomorrow morning, and the race is at 3:10 local time. We will be on air shortly after 3 p.m. So I do hope you'll join us then for the second race of the season. It will be another 80-minute race for the ADAC GT Masters. In the meantime, having a look at some slow-mos of third place, Max Rice, Nicholas Callas in the Ford Mustang, making its return to the ADAC GT Masters for the first time in 10 years. And they've celebrated by getting 2 of them on the podium, both prepared brilliantly by a Haupt Racing team, getting the Giants back onto the grid of GT Masters. But it was a Porsche prepared by Razun More Than Racing that took first blood of the season. And at the wheels, Simon Birch from Denmark and Leo Pichler from Austria. They moving to the top step of the podium to the lead of the championship. You get the feeling that Simon Conoprim and Finn Zulauf in the Power Motorsport Lamborghini are going to be back, and they're going to be ready for action tomorrow to put to rights all that has gone wrong today. But you also have seen how quickly the 1, 2, 3 on the podium have been, and they are going to take the race to them. So I do hope you've enjoyed what has been a sensational opening to the ADAC GT Masters season. We'll do it all again tomorrow. See you then. From myself, Brian Oliver, and Chris Hartley, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. mighty ADAC GT Masters. We are go. The car span out. And he's given the squeeze.
Look at this, side by side.
Pulling out right in front. And really good close racing.